in Gadigal Land in Sydney, as is Danny. In Te Whanganui, Aotearoa Wellington, we have Alex. And in Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland, we have Erin. 2 1-all draws to speak about today, one of which felt better than the other. We'll start with the men, and no surprises there. That's the one that I don't feel quite as good about. Bottom of the table, Brisbane Roar. On Thursday, Waitangi Day, at Sky Stadium. Hughesy with his very first goal, a nice header. Henry Hoare with a nice, to say, equaliser, as much as it broke my heart. So 1-1. Possession was actually in Brisbane's favour, 43-57. Shots were a bit more even, 9-8 on target, 6-3. XG 1.37 to 0.89 for Brisbane. I think, again, for the second week in a row, we have 2 big penalty shout talking points. Now, the talking point, the first penalty shout was a handball. They never replayed it, really, so I don't actually know how much of a worthwhile shout that was. The big one was, crazily enough, there was contact. The referee admitted there was contact. So there was, Ishige went down in the box. I can't remember who the contact came from. And I think it was Billity. He maybe went down a little bit too easily. Because the way he sort of fell, it was like, I don't know, but then there was contact. So it went to this very long, drawn-out VAR review in which the referee announced there was contact, but it was not enough to be a foul, so it was not a penalty. And interestingly, Chiefy seemed to think it wasn't a penalty, but the back and forth, at least on Twitter, was pretty strong. So yes, a second week in a row. Also, not enough stoppage time added at the end of the game. Erin, you were there. You made it down to Te Whanganui, Aotearoa Wellington.
Did, yay. All that travel just to see us draw to the bottom of the table. So trip didn't quite go as well as I wanted it to, but I mean, we didn't lose, I guess, which I don't know, at this point it's become a running meme almost that we didn't lose. Haven't lost since Kelly Hold's been in goal. So maybe it's a common factor there, but yeah, just in terms of, I mean, it's good to see Hughes get a goal after kind of having a rough last few months. So yeah, to see him get a goal was quite good to see. Offside as well, Ishige, incredible finish from, I think, a Corbin Piper cross. Manages to kind of turn it and hit it on the volley and then, chalk back off for offside. But he's kind of gets himself into some real acrobatic positions and manages to get something off them, which is quite good to see. Unfortunately, offside. I thought the penalty was a penalty. He was impeded from getting the ball, and the player didn't get the ball. He got the player. I don't really know what more we have to do to get penalties now, but even still, we could get the penalty. We might not even score it, but at least give them to us, I think, to give us a chance there. But also, Brisbane had a lot of opportunities to actually win this game. They had a free header, I think, in near the start of the first half where he hit it over the bar. They hit the post at one point. There was one where I can't even remember who on our team, but tried to clear the ball without even looking and played it right to their player, who manages to get a good shot off as well. So, yeah, we really had the chance to lose that game. So it's kind of good that we managed to get a draw almost. But we should be winning these games, and yeah, I don't know. It's something needs to happen, and don't know really what to do now.
Yeah, I think we were very lucky to get away with a draw in this game, which is kind of unfortunate because they're bottom of the table. Like, for crying out loud, we should be winning these games comfortably. Kind of at the start of the season and last season, tactically, we sucked in the opposition press really well, and we kind of continue to do that this season. But the thing is, last season we could play through the opposition press. This season we can't. This season we've got pretty much nothing. what the opposition do, they basically just surround our sixes, Retray and Nagasawa, and then we obviously can't play to them. If we try to go over the top, we've got no big man. We've got Costa and Ishige, who are always going to lose the header. Our only kind of person who can win a header is Corwin Piper and our centre backs, and they're never going to, you can't play them as striker. So I think, a new signing can't come soon enough. Someone to kind of link the attack and the defence. Someone to kind of shift around the opposing press. Otherwise, we have pretty much little to no attacking threat. As for the penalty, I struggle to see how this isn't a penalty. To be honest, like there's no question about the contact, which is weird because the referee said that there wasn't enough contact, and luckily the mic worked for the second VAR intervention. The only question for me was Ishige's touch too heavy, and kind of was he going to get to the ball? But the ball falls to Nagasawa anyway, and he gets a shot off target, and having Ishige on his feet for that would be helpful, to shift around the defense, kind of cause some more havoc. So I think we were clearly impeded by Ishige getting tripped over. How it's not a penalty, I really don't understand. I don't know what. Yeah, like you said, Aaron, what more can you do?
There's a town in the northwest of England called Chester, which is on the border between England and Wales. And apparently there's a bylaw, which is still on the books, apparently still legal law, that if you find a Welshman in the city walls after sunset, you are legally allowed to stab him. Okay. Now, it seems to be in New Zealand, there must be a law there which says if you find a Japanese player within the penalty box, you are legally allowed to do anything you like to them with no legal consequences whatsoever. Because how anyone could say that wasn't a penalty, I just cannot see it at all. He was actually fouled twice because someone was grabbing his arm as he went through, and the first grab of his arm on his left arm pulled him off balance because he was actually sort of jumping in the air to get the ball. And then the foot came through, which was about waist height, because again, Ishige was actually off the ground, and that took him to the ground, put him down there. So his falling looked a bit dramatic, but that's because he's had two fouls on him. One pulled him left, and the other one then kicked his knee, and he went down. How you can say that's not enough contact, it seems to be rewriting the rules of football as we understand it. Those kind of contacts anywhere else on the pitch is a free kick. And if he was a furthest player forward, it would have been a dog, so it would have been a red card for at least one of those players that fouled him. Look, if they're going to change the balance of what is and isn't a penalty, they've really got to start announcing at the start of the season. You can't just bring it up in the middle of matches because it was a ridiculous decision. And Chiefy said, yeah, he understood. I really think he was just taking the piss because there's no way any manager is going to accept that as not being a penalty. It was a spectacularly bizarre decision. And look, if they're consistent on that from now to the end of the season and tackles like that don't get given penalties for anyone else, then all right, I guess there's some consistency there. But for that, there's no way that wasn't a penalty. And the XG stats that you were saying there, Holly, they don't take that into account that we should have had a goal then. That's just no XG whatsoever. Similarly, the goal that we scored, which was offside, but tiny offside, that doesn't go in the XG stat fiber as well. So I think overall we should have won this game. We were the better side after the first 10 minutes. We were the better side by quite a way. They had their chances, but we were still good. But they were bottom of the table side. We should have been easily winning this. And the fact that we didn't shows we've still got a long way to go in this new build of playing with all these young guys without any new signings coming along. And I don't think a new signing is going to be sort of the silver bullet we think it's going to be. Hopefully they'll give it a bit more boost going forward. Yeah, bargaining. Maybe he'll give it a bit more boost going forward, another outlet going forward, because as you say, Alec, we can't really get out that press very well. We're still defending pretty well, I think. We haven't let many goals in at all in the last few games, but we've really got nothing going forward, and it turns the match into being quite boring, to be honest. And even after we'd scored, I was like, we'd need to get a second one. We really need to get a second one, and we need to get it now. And I thought that was a real mistake then not to bring on some attacking players immediately we scored the goal. I thought we should have brought on Walker, we should have brought on Conchi, and really had a go at them while they were down. They're bottom of the table. Their heads must have dropped. As soon as they let a goal in, they must have thought, oh, here we go again. We're going to lose another game. where they've had a few chances. And we didn't. We sort of said, okay, it's going all right. We'll sit and see, and try not to let one in the next 5 minutes or so. And then we didn't, but then we let one in 10 minutes, and then we started bringing subs on and started changing it. And I thought that was too late by then, because then they could sit back and Walker's pace isn't going to hurt them. Conchi didn't actually do much when it came on, I didn't think, unfortunately. But yeah, I think we missed a trick then. I think after we scored, we should have really had a go at them. And I think with their morale down, I think we possibly could have got a second one. So I thought that was disappointing. And overall, it's definitely 2 points dropped.
I just want to talk about the finish from Henry Hoare. Like, that is incredible, eh? I think the defending isn't the best. Obviously, Hughes kind of gets stuck by Wooten's side, and then that forces Corbin Piper to leave his man and come across. But it's kind of shades of Mesut Ozil. I think the commentator said, he doesn't know if it was on purpose or not, but nonetheless, it's an incredible finisher. It kind of bamboozles the goalkeeper, and there's no way he's going to save that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful couple of touches, just deft, just enough on it. You don't need more, lifting it over the keeper. It was a great goal. I think we've talked about it in the past, but it's that same thing of the opening 10 or 15 minutes. We were shocking. We could barely get out of the half. And then we come right again. But there were a lot of... It was good to have Tim Payne back. That was a big draw. But even some of those balls that you would expect to start working now weren't working. So Tim Payne put in this it was a beautifully hit ball to Costa, but Costa was surrounded by three players. When was that? 84th minute. So we're really pushing to try and get a win at this point. And Timmy just puts in this, it's a nice whipped cross. But Costa's by himself and he's got three defenders around him. And like, what's he supposed to do with that? Another thing that I thought was uncharacteristic of deliveries is Shiga in the 75th, two corners in a row. One was too low, was beaten away by the first man. The second one was just too short. And so Sutts had to take the next one. So I just feel like even the players would expect some consistency from, had some issues. I will mention Lachlan Candy got a debut. So he is from the academy as well, which is awesome. And apparently his sister is also in the academy playing for the women. So great to see another debut there.
Yeah, I just want to touch back on what Danny said about how they have kind of changed that refereeing criteria halfway or throughout the season without telling anyone. And you think that they would have learned, I mean, it's the A-League, but you think they would have learned from last season when they completely changed how the ladder works without telling anyone and having to have people find out on their own, that these are the kind of things that they put together, fan representation groups, and they put together things to combat and get communications out to all the clubs and to all the fans about what was happening with the league after the grand final decision and then after the ladder decision. And now they've just gone and done something else that's kind of changed the league quite dramatically, and would have changed how teams play and change what's expected from the game, and they just kind of haven't said it. And the news that the refereeing has changed is just kind of spread through word of mouth rather than an actual proper communication saying, hey, the reason why these aren't being given is because we want the league to be more free flowing or yada yada yada. It's just a communication issue which we're still getting, even now after we've had two massive decisions that were made without consulting any of the fans.
Yeah, it's pretty disappointing. And as you say, if it's communicated, you can agree or disagree with it, but at least you know where you're standing. On this occasion, we don't. I mean, and I think actually the way they're being refereeing, where basically letting a lot more tackles go and not giving them those yellow cards, I actually quite agree with that. I think that's good. It does let the game go on. I'm all for a physical game as well. I don't mind that. But yeah, you've got to let people know. And again, if you're just not going to give penalties for, I mean, what is the level is a penalty now? I mean, does it have to be a physical injury? Does it have to be, something where you literally stop someone taking a shot? I mean, I don't know. We need a bit more information on that. Otherwise, players have no idea what they can and can't do in the penalty box. Then someone's going to do pretty much what they've been doing to our guys, and then a penalty be given, and they'll be up in arms against the ref and get dissent and get sent off. It's not fair on the players if they don't.
Well, our next game is on Friday against Melbourne Victory. That is at the Graveyard. That is Amy Park. It is 9:35 p.m. New Zealand time, so a bit of a late one. At least it's a Friday. Shout out to the Foster Crescent crew, who I believe are, at least some of them, are attending that match. How do you think we're going to go? We're 10th on the table at the moment. I sort of stopped looking at the table for the men a little bit. Victory are an excellent side. Who knows what might happen? What do you think? Alex, is that a late night for you?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I to be honest, I don't really know what to expect. I think you go into this game thinking anything other than a loss, you're gonna grasp with two arms and run back to New Zealand with it. Victory have been pretty good this season. They weren't actually good against the Jets. Actually, now that I think of it, they conceded 3 very late goals. That Langerak penalty was kind of lackluster. But we've been horrible this season. You can't really compare that to what's been happening to us. If we get a new signing by then and get him on the pitch, maybe we'll have a chance. But you know how Chiefy likes to be with his new signings. He likes to give them a bit of time to kind of adjust. I would be stoked with anything other than a loss for this game.
Yeah, I think anything would be good. Realistically, we're not going to get much out of this game. I'd be happy with a good defensive performance to an extent, and some, again, a little bit more work on the forward attacking. There were some good bits in the Brisbane game. There were some nice attacking bits, sort of the end of the second half of the first half, where we looked to be putting sort of passes together. I don't think we're going to get many chances to do that against Victory. I think they're going to be in our half. It'll be a typical Amy Park game where we will have very few chances. They will have a lot of chances. And if our defence is good enough, then hopefully we can keep them out. Not particularly hopeful, but, fingers crossed.
Yep. Happy Valentine's Day. Hope we don't have a bunch of heartbreak from it. I guess hope both teams have fun.
All right, let's chat about a draw that did feel a little bit better. Playing Melbourne Victory, who have been excellent this season in the dub at Porirua Park. That was on Saturday the 8th. 1-1 draw. Mai McCutcheon, nice and early, very, very early actually, second minute, from a corner from Flea. Nikki Flannery scores in the 61st to level it up when we don't clear the ball very well and it just goes straight to her and she puts it in the back of the net. XG, I know XG is not great, Danny, but these are the ones I like to write down just to push through. Was surprisingly low, so it was an XG of 0.73 to 0.78, and it felt like a game where you would have seen more XG. Again, it's a flawed stat, but fewer really good chances perhaps than you might have thought. We dominated possession, 53 to 47, especially the first half. Shots 17 to 9. On target, 8 to 5. I feel like this is one that got away. I think we were the better team in the first half, especially up the left wing. We were excellent up that way. Worley and Flea, who used to be a tap dancer, by the way. That's why she's got those little feet. She's got the twinkle toes. Jale, I think that went really well up there. Melbourne Victory came out improved, I think, quite a bit improved. So I really feel like this was dropped points. But again, it's Melbourne Victory and there's no sneezing at getting something out of a game against them. So Alex, you were in attendance, were you? No, you were at work.
I was in attendance. I missed the first goal, unfortunately, because
that was pretty quick.
I got held in at work. I walked in about half an hour. Still got a good hour of football. Should probably be late more often. Considering how we started that game, I think the goal we scored was pretty incredible, straight off the training ground, and kind of moves like that is kind of what makes a difference against teams like Melbourne Victory. There was another good chance we had from a set piece in the second half too, I believe. I guess it's kind of just same old. in terms of the goals we've been conceding, kind of we go to sleep defensively, at just random times throughout the game, and we kind of just handed them a goal, which is really unfortunate because I thought other than that, they pretty much didn't have any great chances. There was that one time where Olivia Kelly, yet again, kept their striker onside, which I think is her greatest weakness. She's got an amazing long ball on her, but as soon as it comes to the offside trap, she's horrible. I kind of think even maybe you just push her up the field a wee bit, make the most of her passing range and, get rid of her or kind of eliminate the need for her to have great defensive positioning as a centre-back. But regardless, I think that's kind of the one that's gotten away from us. It's funny because the men's game, you'd definitely be targeting 3 points, and then you feel, or at least I felt, kind of relieved that we actually got a point. This game, I wasn't targeting 3 points at all. I would have been happy with a draw. I would have taken that. And then after the game, I still feel, a little bit disappointed about that draw, the way we played. I think, we put pretty much our heart into that performance, and we were unlucky not to get 3 points.
As a game of football, I really enjoyed it. I have to say, yes, I was a bit disappointed at the end that we hadn't got 3 points, but looking back, just as a game of football, I thought it was an excellent game of football. And I think we played probably as well for most of that game as we have done all season. Obviously, the big highlight, I guess the highlight of the season so far was the big victory against Western Sydney Wanderers, but Victory are a much better team than Wanderers were, and I thought we took the game to them. We played some really, really nice attacking football. It really was a joy to watch. Achilles' heel, of course, was that we didn't put the goals away. And I don't know what we can do about it. I just don't think we have the players there that score the goals in the numbers that probably our attacking play deserve. And without signing someone else, I'm not sure how we're going to fix that. Our attacking was a lot more fluid than it has been in previous matches, and we created a lot more chances. I thought clearer chances. We still didn't manage to put enough of them away, which is a shame. It is interesting that Ferguson started again, and she immediately made our attack look a lot better, I think. And yet she still can't score goals. She's someone who makes our attack look really good when we don't have the ball, but then makes it look worse when she does have the ball. Again, don't know what the answer is to that. I'm not sure there is an answer. I think we just have to keep going and hoping we create enough chances that eventually some of them will go in. But I thought Mysar played really good. Flea was amazing. Jale played really well. McCutcheon was excellent. Wynnum as well. I just thought we all played really well. And so I'm not too disappointed, I guess, about the result, because I think if we play like that, we'll beat a lot of good teams. But it's a few games now that we haven't picked up enough points, and we're sort of dropping away from the top 6. So we really do need to start picking some points up. But if we can continue to play like that, then I think
this was an incredible game to watch. I know that Victory are, one of the best teams in the league, and you can clearly see that their team is really well put together. And so to score early and be playing well is always going to be good for us. But yeah, unfortunately, we chose the time straight after they made a double substitution of their attackers to go to sleep, and those two immediately punished us after we were also taunting them from the fever section as well. So that's always the way it goes. Maybe we should have done that. Maybe they had a bit of a vengeance against us, but yeah, not ideal. And, it's a bit unfortunate because I think Tiana Jaber was playing quite well the whole game. She was, putting some good balls through, and she was putting in some incredible tackles. There was one where it was like a last-ditch slide tackle in the box that had to be millimeters perfect, otherwise that would have been a penalty. And so I think she was doing really well. And so, yeah, unfortunately that they scored there, but draw against Melbourne Victory is a good result on paper. If you didn't look at the actual game itself, you'd say, hey, that's a pretty good result. But we need better results now at this point of the season. We need to make sure that we can keep 1-0 throughout the whole game. And I think, unfortunately, we only had 2 corners this whole game because our set pieces are looking pretty lethal this season. Longo can hit one in, Tanaka can hit one in, Elliot can score Olympicos, and so we have the people on the corners. We had Foster last year as well, but I don't think we really scored as many as we are this season, or we didn't look as threatening last season as we did this season from corners. And so, yeah, I think if we had a couple more of those come in as well, we probably could have pinched something else. But yeah, I guess hopefully we keep up our form, playing well, I guess, and we actually can bring home some 3 points, because that'll really help us to make those finals.
I wonder where Maba and Zoe were. So I'm told they were spotted in the crowd in their tracksuits, but I really do wonder why they weren't able to make the matchday squad. Hopefully they're okay. Why they didn't play. Obviously Zoe's sitting on 49 games, so people are anxious to see her get to 50, but also she's a great player to put on, especially if you're getting those one to, like, the very open game, and it's sitting at a draw at sitting level. She's a fantastic player to put on, and the game was opening up. It was really crazy how for both teams, even really early on in the game, it almost felt like the midfield and the attack was sort of separated by, like, from the defense. So both teams were doing it. It wasn't just us. It was wild how open it was, even very, very early. But Zoe's the right kind of person for that. Maybar is great whether you start her or you put her on. So to not even see them make the squad, that's a pity, and I hope that everything's okay and they're not sick or injured like that. Alagera's got a debut, which was awesome to see. Another academy product. She's been in and out of the team sheets for a while now, and I think she did quite well.
Yeah, I rate Alligators, actually. She scored the winning goal in the Kate Shepherd Cup, like last season or 2 seasons ago for Western Suburbs. I think she's 17 or 18. It was a nice moment for her. All the family were there with her. They got a nice photo on the pitch afterwards. I think, she could develop into a really handy player for us in the future.
I just want to mention, I thought Villar was excellent in this game. She just so good. She made some really, really good quality saves. She didn't have too many chances to save, but the one that she did were just superb. And if she was like 5 inches taller, yes, I know Erin had on notes about it. If she was 5 inches taller, I think she'd be playing at a much higher level than this. I think she's just probably not tall enough, so when balls are coming across at a high level, she just doesn't have that reach to pluck them out of the air and that not be a problem. And we've seen that in a couple of mistakes that she's made this season, where the balls come across and someone probably bigger than her has come in and knocked the ball out of her hands and they've scored. If she was just a bit taller than I, she can't do anything about it. But her otherwise than that, her all-round game has just been so good. Just real quality stuff.
I think she's got quite good distribution as well. I think you can see, especially maybe in Wellington, you see some goal kicks where other keepers have to go short almost every single ball, but she can hit one quite far. She can get it over halfway into the wind, which I think as a women's goalkeeper is actually quite impressive sometimes. And yeah, having the opportunity to go long if we have to is quite beneficial for us.
I also wanted to think, when we're talking about our striking and not scoring enough goals, whether Emma Main we should be looking at her to start. She's coming on and she seems to do quite well when she comes on. And I'm just wondering why she hasn't started, because we've had, last game Ferguson didn't start and we had Jolly up front with Wynnum, but Emma Main's still coming on now. I don't know whether it's a fitness thing, whether she's maybe slightly unfit or carrying a niggle so she can't do the 90 minutes, or whether Temple just thinks she's better as a end of game person, a finisher when the pitch is getting a bit more stretched. And she certainly is better when she's got grass ahead of her, because she's really quite fast, but she's also a really good finisher of the ball. She can hit it and she can put it in there. If I was her, I would probably be a bit disappointed I haven't had a starting spot for a while, and I think it might be worth a try.
Agree. I wrote in my notes at the 70th minute, where is Main Train? And then 74th minute, there is Main Train. And then she's very quickly, within a few minutes, was already 1v1 after a long ball from flee. So yeah, that's definitely. I think we've talked about it before. Just that choice of starter, because I think Main Train brings something that's a little bit different to what Fergie does. Shall we chat about the next game? So the next game we are away. It is still the distance derby for the women, at least. Away to the Glory, Sunday, 16th of February, 10 p.m. New Zealand time kickoff. So another late one for our New Zealand-based fans. The Glory haven't been great this season. It's a long way to go, but I think we're capable of getting points there. So I'd like to see a win. I think we can get a win.
I'd be surprised if we get a good result from this game. I think this season historically we haven't been that great at away games. Same with the men's team when they first started. I think it takes a while for these teams to kind of learn how to travel collectively, and then Perth just adds layers and layers on top of that. Kick off at 10 p.m. New Zealand time. We haven't really. We did win at Perth last season, didn't we? That was when, and I think Wynnum scored. Anyway, if that's wrong, take that with a grain of salt. But I think we ended our kind of away game losing streak. But I think Perth is a very difficult place to play, especially for a women's team who don't have that much experience under their belt. I would be happy with a draw.
I think we're capable of winning this, and I know we have the travel, and that is going to be difficult. But we have put some good performances over the Tasman this season. As long as they're not turning up the night before, as long as they got some decent preparation, I think the team is certainly good enough to beat Perth. I think we can, and I guess as much as anything, we really need to, because we really need to get 3 points to move back up the table to get in contention of making finals. I think if we don't make finals this year, it would be a real shame. We've certainly got a team that has that capability of being one of the better teams in the league. So I'm going to be optimistic. I think we'll get a win.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that we get a win from this game. I think Perth is still struck with an injury crisis. Our mate Gabby Hollow over there is out for I think the rest of the season now with some kind of clotting or some strange medical event. So they've lost their import striker. The travel is going to be hard, but I think that this is a game where we kind of need to get 3 points because we're about to come into a 2-week international break, and we need to kind of end with a solid 3 points and in a good position while we go into this break, so that we can come back as well, inspired to keep going. I think a loss here would be pretty bad for form. So I think we need a win, and I think that we can get a win.
Yeah, Hollow being out will be helpful. Unfortunately for her being out, I mean, it sounds pretty serious, potentially having blood clots. We did actually beat them last time at home. You're right, Danny. That was actually an own goal from Foster. Liz, Mickey Robertson, Macy Fraser scoring for that one. So there's never been a draw. So almost guaranteed goals, because there's never been a draw between us in the 7 games that we have played. All right. We'll see how that goes. Make sure you tune in. Alex, you wanted to talk about scheduling and Waitangi Day.
Yeah, so pretty much every season when we have a Waitangi Day game, Twitter and online is filled with opinions on it. And, the Australians, they don't like it because it kicked off at 4 p.m. Australian time on a Thursday, middle of a work day. They can't watch that. And then Kiwis are a bit mixed about it. Most of them like it. They just go, yeah, it's a public holiday, mate. We don't care. You kick us off at midnight in Perth at 10 p.m. In Melbourne and other places. It's fine. And then a lot of Kiwis also think that the derby should be on Waitangi Day, which is interesting. But the thing with that is that it would take away. We get a guaranteed kind of better crowd on Waitangi Day. We got 9,000, I think, for this game, as opposed to kind of within the 6s and 7s previously this season. And then the derby is also a guaranteed big crowd. So there's kind of that argument of, do you split the kind of guaranteed big crowd games over a couple games, or do you kind of just go all out and just put it all on one day and try to get, you know, a sellout, which as Domi said would fund the club for ages. But, you know, I'm interested to hear your guys' opinions on that.
So it was 3 p.m., I'll have you know, a 3 p.m. kickoff here. But every time it's like you have to point at the sign, because I feel like every time we have the Waitangi Day game, there's people complaining, Australians complaining on Twitter, this is a stupid time to have a game. And then someone has to point out to them it's a public holiday in New Zealand, and that's why. So it is a bit of a pity for people who have to watch during their workday, but it's doable. It is what it is. I actually initially thought Waitangi Day would be a great derby day, but to be honest, Alex, you make a good point that maybe we do split those out. Some of that will be just down to what the two teams agree. I'm assuming that of the 3 derbies, it'll alternate who gets to host 2 and who gets to host 1. So we'll see what happens there. I think it would be a good marquee New Zealand fixture to have Waitangi Day be a derby day. But obviously, potentially there are flow-on costs to that, because we did get 9,000, which is beyond the break-even at Sky Stadium. Women actually didn't do too badly as well on Saturday. They had 10,015.
Yeah, I agree with you, Holly. I think it would be a good day to have a derby, but I understand the economics behind it. I understand, we're going to get a bigger crowd now, and we'll get a bigger crowd for the derby, whenever that would be. So, let's not, put those on the same day and minimise that. But I think in terms of looking forward and taking a longer viewpoint rather than just a few dollars this season and next season, the idea of having the New Zealand Derby on Waitangi Day it just seems to make sense, and it would be a tradition which you could then build, and it will be something that people will just then look forward to, and it'll just be something that happens, Waitangi Day Derby, which happens. And we'd have to swap it, obviously, 1 year with us, 1 with them, because 3 games a season is only going to happen until Canberra comes in, and then we'll only have 2 games, so 2 derbies. So we could swap it once in Auckland, once in Wellington the next year. So again, it would only happen every 2 years. But I think it would be something you could really build up into something people look forward to. And they've done that with other fixtures in the A-League as well. So Australia Day is always Sydney versus Melbourne, sometimes here, sometimes there. And I know all my Sydney FC fans look forward to it, and they will always travel to Melbourne for the Australia Day game. Sometimes it's Australia Day weekend day game, sometimes it's not actually on the actual day itself. So yes, I can understand why they wouldn't want the derby on Waitangi Day at the moment, because they're hoping to get a half decent crowd on Waitangi Day, whoever the opposition is, and they seem to have done. But I think going forward, and for New Zealand football, I think it could really turn out to be a good tradition, to the extent where we're just like, well, of course, this is what you always do, right? We've always played football on Waitangi Day. Isn't that always been happening? It'll be one of those things. So I would like it to go that way.
I almost think you got to try it out before you kind of rule it out. I think the club, or the Phoenix at least, are pretty risk averse with their scheduling and with pretty much everything, though. And I think they would prefer, probably the net 3,000 extra that we're going to get by scheduling, by splitting out the two days, rather than take a punt and maybe you'll get the same if you put the derby on Waitangi Day. But I think you got to try it one season, see what happens. And if it doesn't work, you don't have to do it again.
Yeah, I think my issue with that is that Waitangi Day is not Mondayized or anything, and so if you get a Waitangi Day on a Wednesday, that's a pain in the ass. It was Thursday this week, so I'm like, you know what, long weekend, Friday leave. But if it's in the middle of the week, it gets a bit hard to arrange, because you kind of can't really go up and back in the same day a lot of the time, and especially because I don't trust that the plane will always be able to land in Wellington, because it's quite windy there, if you didn't know. And so it could cause logistical nightmares if it's in the middle of the week. People don't have the leave. You've got to pull kids out of school and everything like that. To me, I think that you should just keep that a different day. I think that, maybe there's a better set time that you can do it. Maybe like a January or something. I don't know. Maybe it's like first weekend of January is the day or something. Make it an occasion, but maybe not a day that is on a different day of the week every year. But one thing I do want to note is that I saw someone post on Twitter that scheduling this game at 3 p.m. or whatever it was Australia time was the A-League's way of getting a hot summer kickoff and pushing that agenda. But I was like, it was 17 degrees that day. It's a game in Wellington. It was 17 degrees. I don't think that it's really pushing any agenda at all. I just thought that was quite funny that they don't know that the weather here is nothing like a 3 p.m. would be in Australia.
Yeah, that's kind of been the A-League's go to this season, to prioritise in the home audience rather than the away audience, which I'm not sure is the right way to go. I hate it when we kick off at midnight. It disrupts my sleep schedule for the whole week, and then I'm late in the mornings. I snooze my alarm 5 times. It's just that one game kind of sets everything off. I think they need to start not prioritizing, but at least taking into account the away audience. But at least they're consistent. That's kind of one thing that we ask so often of the APL, and props to them. They're consistent on this front.
The Perth or the distance derby, it could be on a Saturday night. The Sunday night is just, that's just cruel. We're going to have really poor Monday mornings. At least if it's on a Saturday, if people work normal 9 to 5, Monday to Friday jobs, it's better for them because you can kind of have a bit of a sleep in on the Sunday. But doing it on a Sunday night, and going past midnight when it finishes, and then you got to get up on Monday and go to work, awful decision. It's very cruel.
I was basically about to say the same thing, Erin. I don't know why they don't go, well, these are the handful of fixtures where we actually should just be a little bit wary. And if it has to be at that time, then let's make it on a Saturday. But there always seems to be some of those fixtures, not just for us, but just generally across the league, where you think, why didn't you think about that? And I know that scheduling is extremely complicated. Domi said once that what they used to do was put all of the different needs into a supercomputer that's in Canada, and it would spit out the draw. I don't think they do that anymore. I think they basically were like, we can home, away, home, away, home, away. You find somewhere to play. I don't know whether that's actually quite how that's working, but the draw is a nightmare. I just think for the sake of fans, there are certain fixtures that you could just hold them on a different day. It's crazy. This kickoff against the Glory, it's a Sunday, just have it earlier. Or just if it's something that it would be too hot in Perth, then just push that schedule, those matches earlier or later into the season, because it just doesn't make sense to make it difficult for away fans, especially.
Yeah, I think we should put the distance derby on the Waitangi and kick off at 3 p.m. so Perth have to get up at 9 a.m. to watch a game of football. How do they like it?
Oh, right. Well, thank you for joining us. And if you missed the Nixie interview, that was awesome. Go back and watch it. That was from last week's Todd. If you are not subscribed to our channel, please do. Comment. We love hearing about it. And we will see you next week.